Hello everybody, so today is another monthly book read and I will be going over what I read in the previous month and what I'll be reading today. So what I'll be talking about is the books that I have read in the previous month, my ratings on the book, and how I feel about each book and if I learned anything. So I want to talk about the previous books that I mentioned in my last monthly book read. I found that some of the material was very enjoyable and some of it was not, but that's not the fault of the books or nor myself, so I like to talk about them today. I have 3 books that I talked about in my last monthly book read, where I'll be reading last month, and I read all of these and I found that the books, or at least one book in particular, was very enjoyable. I also picked up another book and I picked this up in the middle of last month, and I found this to be actually a very great read. But before I even talk about the 2 books that were enjoyable and the 2 books that was okay, I want to talk about the 2 books that were just okay. Now, the first book I want to talk about was this, Soulful Simplicity, How Living with Less Can Lead to So Much More by Courtney Carver. I'll be honest, that what they said, don't judge a book by its cover, this was one of them. Not a negative, I'm not throwing any shade, but it's just that because of the cover, I kind of like did expect that it would be kind of, it'd be great, but I found that as I was reading this book that it really wasn't for me. It's not for me. It'll be for someone who's trying to learn about simplicity or perhaps some minimalism in their life, and I found that this was not really for me. It was actually harder for me to relate to the author because a lot of the things that she experienced and went through in her own life and some of the things that she applied in her own life in regards to simplicity and minimalism, it didn't apply to me because I do that currently. I've always been that way. So this would be for someone who may have troubles and issues in organizing their life, putting themselves first, that sort of thing. So I'm not knocking this book. This actually is a great read for those who may be or need to learn how to bring simplicity in their life. I found that at the beginning it was kind of hard to follow because I didn't really know what I was getting into. I thought that it would have been a nice read. This actually has prompted me to read a few pages of a book before I even take it home now. Because I don't want to be disappointed, but if I had to give this a rating, I would give this a 2 out of 5 stars. Someone who is trying to work with simplicity, trying to manage their own life, their money, or whatever, may find this very helpful. For me, I don't have those concerns or issues, so that's not a problem for me. But what I would definitely say is that if there wasn't one thing I didn't get from here, what I got from this book was, putting a hand over the heart and talking to your soul. I did this automatically today as I was doing my meditations, and I was like, oh, I did learn something from the book. So I'm not completely knocking this off. There's something in every book that you can learn. This is one of those books where I realized that if you're going to start something, finish it. That's for me, and I'm just happy to finish this book. Now, the next book that I find very interesting, but at the same time something I feel I really need, was The Creative Visualization. Use the power of your imagination to create what you want in your life. I would definitely say that this was a great read, but this is more so for those who are trying to manifest things in their life, someone who may be a beginner in spirituality, someone who is trying to explore certain things. This may help with those who are trying to heal aspects of their life and understand why things are not manifesting the way they will want. I find that this book wasn't really helpful for me. I would say that there are some pointers or tips that I would definitely like to browse through here and, write some things down that makes sense. But other than that, I don't feel as though that it was something that benefited me in the long run. But other than that, it still was okay. There were some points in here where I felt as though that the wording was a little bit different. It wasn't. I like straightforward writing. I like when people get straight to the point, when it's concise, precise, and, you know, straight to the point. So I found that in this book there was a lot of, I don't know the words for it, but I would definitely say that if I didn't take anything from this book, the thing that I would take from this book is that this book has a wonderful and great index of affirmations. There's a ton of affirmations in this book that you can take from this. Some of the things, the exercises that it mentioned in this book, I definitely used one, and from my understanding it helped me actually at the last moment. So because of that, I'm giving this book a 3 stars out of 5 stars. Okay, so we're going to be moving on to the 2 books I read last month that I believe were very great. One that was unexpected and one that was kind of expected because I read the first few pages. But let's move on. Now what I have is 2 books. One that I talked about in my last monthly book read that I'll be reading for that month. And also this one that I picked up in the middle of the month. I saw it for $1 at a thrift store or a department store. It's not really a thrift store, but like more like a department store that sells things at an affordable price. I got it for $1. And the reason why I picked this up because it reminded me when I used to live down the country and that sort of thing. So when it came to this book, I found that this book is about Phil Robertson and how he became the Duck Commander. I didn't know that this was based on a show. It's not based on a show. This pretty much talks about how the show Duck Commander came on A&E. It talks about his life from beginning to current or present. It talks about him pretty much, you know, dealing with what he dealt with in regards to his childhood, his high school, his siblings, his marriage, and also starting his own business and the things that he had encountered. It was interesting reading this from the standpoint of someone who was in poverty or who lived in poverty but didn't know they were in poverty. That's what I got from this. I would definitely say that this was great. In regards to being able for me to relate to it because I'm from the country and I was able to relate to this. I would definitely say that this book also reminded me of my childhood when I was living down the country, when I would go visit and see my grandparents. I remember the times where I used to have an outhouse and we had well water and we used to have a gas stove and a gas oven and all of that. We didn't have a washing machine that we hung things up outside when we washed clothes, that we didn't have a refrigerator. We had a deep freezer. They ended up getting a refrigerator later. This reminds me of the times when I used to just walk into the woods. You know, it was just nice to be able to connect with someone who has similar experience, even though I may not have experience what they experienced, but it pulled me back to childhood times. And it gave me some nice and wonderful feelings and reminders about what I experienced. So when I was reading this book, I found myself wanting to come back and read this. This was an unexpected find, and I found myself enjoying this. Like I said, I found this for $1, and I'm happy that I read this. The next and final book that I found to be very enjoyable was The Gift of Anger by Arun Gandhi. If I'm pronouncing this wrong, forgive me. It says, and other lessons from my grandfather, Mahatma Gandhi. Now, I found myself really enjoying this book as well. I'm finding that I actually enjoy autobiographies or biographies of people's lives. So I might actually get more into that. In regards to how people dealt with life and things. But I was able to really connect with this book. So this book is pretty much talking about how Gandhi's grandson, because I think in my last video I said his father, it's not his father. This is Arun's grandfather, Gandhi, and you pretty much get a background or perspective from Arun's history or memory about how his grandfather was and his lessons that he learned from his grandfather. Now, I may not have learned a lot from this book, but I would definitely say that I enjoyed the story behind Gandhi, his perspective, his time that he had with his grandfather, and some of the things that his grandfather experienced. It also gave details on what Gandhi was like when he was a little bit younger. even though much wasn't said, because a lot of controversy has been coming up in regards to Gandhi. And I found that this book pretty much clears it up at the end, but I knew better, because if you read this book, you will understand that like any other human being, especially coming up in Gandhi's time where segregation was a real issue, not just in South Africa or India, but also in the United States, that people who were going through those intense times might not have some pretty or nice things to say about others. But with that being said, I definitely would say that I believe, that as Gandhi had gotten older, that he had learned, that he had come out his child ways, and that he put some of his lessons into use. So I really enjoyed this book. I found myself really wanting to come back to this book and read. I want to know more about Gandhi's story. And it may sound crazy, but I will give this actually a 4-star. I would give it a 5-star, but the reason why I'm giving it a 4-star is because I really wanted more from this book. I really want to know more about the background of Gandhi. Now, I'm not discrediting this book. This actually is more like a 5-star book, but I'm giving it 4 stars because there is so much more potential that this book had. I feel as though it could have explored a lot. You also get a little bit of Indian culture in here, their beliefs and ideas, at least from his family. You also experience and see some of the things that was experienced in India. So it definitely gave you a cultural perspective and understanding. So if there has been any doubts in regards to what you have been hearing about Gandhi's life, I would definitely give this a read. I would definitely say from reading this that I really enjoyed this. Now, another book that I wanted to mention that I read before I even started the monthly book reads, but I want to cover it here, is The Emotional Clearing. Okay, Emotional Clearing, Releasing Negative Feelings and Awakening Unconditional Happiness by John Ruskan. Now, I'll definitely say I really enjoyed this book. I enjoyed it. This was well thought out. It was well written. It was precise. And this was organized into 3 parts. Now, I found myself saying that if I ever write a book, a self-help book or any type of book that helps others, I would need to organize my book in this fashion. But with that being said, I definitely enjoyed this book. I am giving this book a 5-star. This is one of those books that I would keep in my stack. It'll be my go-to if I feel as though I need to remember anything. I would definitely say that this book is for those who are starting their process into spirituality, learning how to heal themselves, wanting to heal themselves, learning to get to the root causes and issues of their conscious, subconscious, and shadow self, doing shadow work. And this definitely helped me when I really needed it the most. So this was a great read, and I appreciate this book. And I definitely would like to know if there are any books that this author have written. So with that, that's pretty much the end of the books for the monthly book read in regards to last month that I definitely want to talk about next month. I am doing 2 books this month because I don't really want my time being taken up because I have other projects I want to do. But in regards to for this month coming up, I have 2 books here. One that I got from the library and one that I picked up a while ago. And I'm going to talk about the first book. This is the one that I picked up when I was it's like a thrift store out. You know how people have the things outside. And I picked one of these. I picked this book up. I think it was $5 I purchased it for. It's talking about the energy of money, a spiritual guide to financial and personal fulfillment, and a new approach to working with energy that can free your spirit, expand your vision, and help you achieve your purpose. A soulful guide for financial success. Now, I'll be honest, I read some of this a while back. I never finished it, so this time I will be finishing it this month. And this, book is not long, but I will be finishing this month. And from what I have read, this book seems to be also well written out and thought out and precise. And I am enjoying that so far. I will also say that this book is great for those who are trying to learn how to budget that money. Now, when it comes to me, I don't have issues with money. At least I don't feel as though I have issues with money. But I definitely want to explore more still the energy of money. Connection with money, our relationship with money. That has been something that I've been wanting to explore lately. So that's the reason why I picked up this book and wanted to read it. So I'll definitely be finishing reading this month. And I actually am working on some projects in regards to financial planning pages, if you want to say. I used to create them. So when it comes to me and finances, I actually enjoy income, money, budgeting. I enjoy doing all of that. I enjoy, just working with finances. So when it comes to budgeting money, I would definitely say that I think this is going to be a good read. Now, the next and final book that I'll be talking about, this is something that I found in the library, and this is on grief and grieving. Find the meaning of grief through the 5 stages of loss by Elisabeth Kübler-Ross and David Kessler. Now, I picked this book up from the library, and the reason why I picked this up because first, I thought it would be a good read, and second, I wanted to expand my knowledge on grief. Now, I know about grief and I know about there being stages, but I definitely wanted to organize my mind in regards to the stages of grief and a reference that I can go to. So I would definitely say that I believe that once I'm finished with this book, when I turn it back to the library, that I'm probably going to get a copy myself. I believe that I will turn a lot of my books into digital copies so I can always have them, because the truth is I really don't want a lot of books around me, but we will see. But from so far, this book also seems to be very well written out. It immediately goes into the 5 stages of grief, but it will definitely explore in much greater detail in this book. So I would definitely say in regards to this book, I'm probably going to finish this book by the middle of this month. I don't know, but I am enjoying this, and I'm finding that I really want to read more books like this. I also want to read more books that talk about people's lives and what they experience. I really want to read those types of books. I'm finding that I really enjoy them. Some of the things I want to read in the next month is fictional books, because for those who may not know, I enjoy fiction, writing fiction movies, and I would like to actually write a fiction book one day. We'll see how that goes. I also like to write books like this. So, this has been a little bit inspiring already, because I've been thinking about going back to school, not now, but in the future, because truth is I already have a master's degree, but I wouldn't mind going back and pursuing some other things to assist me in doing the things that I would like to do in my life, because the truth is I like helping others. I like being able to assist others. And for those who may not know, I actually do and work with people in regards to spirituality and advice and life coaching. I have another channel which I do that on, and I think that this will help me a lot in being able to organize myself and assist others, because the truth is I know about this already, but I don't know it in greater detail, and I like to organize my mind. So this is a book that I really want to pay attention to, really remember, and that sort of thing. Now, another book that I would like to talk about that I don't have right now, and I may read it this month or next month, but you will know because I'm going to talk about it anyway. And that's the book on United States laws, the rules and regulations, legislations. I feel as though it's time for me to relearn about these things. I mean, we learn about these things in school, but I'm finding that I want to learn about these things, learn how other things happen and work in the United States. And I don't have the book now. I may pick it up later, or I might have it or save it for next month. We will see. But that's another read that I would like to talk about. So with that, if you have been enjoying this monthly book read, if you have any suggestions, definitely let me know. And I would definitely like to be reading more great books in the future. This month, only doing 2 books because I got some projects I want to work on. But with that, if you like this video, definitely like, subscribe, and comment below. And I will definitely be seeing you all in the next video. See ya. Bye.